Sunday, February 11th, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 2018. Tropical cyclones to talk about. This is one of two. The second one I want to talk about will be impacting Australia as a Category 3, maybe 4 hurricane in the coming days. You're looking at Cyclone NZ right now. It's bearing down on the island nation of Tonga, and it is squarely centered in the eye wall of this hurricane. So they are bracing for the storm. Probably make impact as a CAT4, but we'll get to the details of that storm here in just a moment. But I want to talk about this collection of storms that have been almost a permanent feature here at the GOES 16 satellite for many, many days. I have this instrument running constantly at my desk, and a steady stream of precipitation has originated from the Gulf, and it stretches all the way up beyond Maine to New Brunswick, and it has been pretty much nonstop. The rivers in these parts are starting to show signs of overflowing, flooding, and you can tell by looking at this map. This is a map put out by NOAA of all of the rivers in North America and their respective gauges. When you see orange, red, and then purple, purple means major flooding is underway. Orange and red means major flooding could be a very likely possibility, especially with the conditions the way they are right now. It is still raining. Some places are looking at an additional 2 to 6 inches, I think, in parts of Florida, Georgia, southeast Alabama. And you can see the maps are reflecting that. The rivers are starting to fill up, which is good. We've seen a lot of rivers around here that have been bone dry in some places. So if we hear of drought in about a month, then we just have to recall back February 11th, the rivers, many rivers, were nearing flood stage. And in fact, let's take a look at, let's just pick one. For instance, I haven't looked at any of these specifics. I just know from looking at the map, when they're orange and red, they're in the process of flooding. So this one here is Duck River at Centerville, Tennessee. And you can see it's rising as I do this video. Looking at a potential crest of 28 feet. Flood stage is 22 feet, so that would put it 6 feet over flood stage. In fact, it's already over flood stage right now as I do this video. So there's many others that are in the exact same situation, which, as long as it doesn't get too out of hand, that's not necessarily a bad thing. We could always use the water, but as long as it doesn't disappear rapidly. I remember back last year, April of 2017, there was a very large storm that stretched out across the Midwest, dumped a tremendous amount of rain in a short period of time. Over southern Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri got the bulk of this storm. And what I'm referring to is when they had to open Table Rock Dam down here in the Ozarks and release water. There was an abundance of water, and then about 4 months later, I'm hearing about drought. Actually, 3 months later, drought. And some of these tributaries flowed into the Mississippi River here at Memphis and Caruthersville, where we've seen new sandbars and extremely low conditions. But I don't know. We'll see how long this water lasts. But a lot of rain right now in that area, and it's still coming down. Another 2 to 6 inches in some places as the rivers are rising. Tonga braces for Cyclone NZ after storm batters Samoa. Wellington. Tonga was bracing for Tropical Cyclone NZ to hit on Monday after the powerful storm sparked evacuations and cut off water supplies in Samoa over the weekend. The Category 4, this is one of the reports I was talking about. It's apparently at one time it was a Category 4. The Category 4 storm was moving across the South Pacific, as was expected to hit Tonga's capital by 7 p.m. on Monday. Very destructive hurricane-force winds are expected this evening. Met Service has issued a hurricane warning. The Red Cross said residents were racing to identify strong buildings to which to evacuate to and clean up debris such as loose wood or metals that could turn into dangerous projectiles during high winds of up to 115 miles per hour, maybe more. The storm is starting to organize. The eye wall is getting more profound. So I'll show you that here in a minute. But this could be a strong storm. And where it's headed in the coming days, they are just now cleaning up from a series of storms in the North and South Islands of New Zealand. So it's an incredibly strong cyclone. People are getting prepared. And just getting prepared really does save lives. The Met Service also warned of huge coastal swells and flooding in low-lying areas, and that's always true with these systems. The storm pummeled Samoa and the American Samoa over the weekend, flooding the Samoan capital. About 300 people had to evacuate, but are now returning to their homes. So at this point, the storm is a fairly quick mover. The eye wall is starting to become more defined. Tonga is a direct hit. That's a direct hit in just a matter of hours. According to this is the University of Wisconsin. Should hit as a Category 3. That's a very strong storm. CAT4, according to the Saffir-Simpson, is up to 130 miles per hour. So those storms are very destructive, devastating. Damage will occur. Well-built framed homes may incur major damage or removal of the roof. Many trees will be snapped or uprooted, like we saw up in Washington back 2 weeks ago. 130-mile-an-hour winds are capable of doing that. And I'm still not so sure that could handle a Douglas fir, but maybe so. Electricity and water will be unavailable for several days after a Category 3 storm. So this storm could be a Cat 3, maybe a Cat 4, according to some of the pressure readings. Here at Tropical Tidbits, this is the storm, Cyclone Gita. They're showing pressure readings of 939 millibars, and that's pretty low, so that could be a Category 4 quite easily. What you're looking at right there, the storm is on the 16th. This is New Caledonia. Let's look at the map. I think that's New Caledonia. Here's the storm now. Approaching, it's almost directly on top of Tonga, moving to the west. Yeah, that's New Caledonia. It's going to take a track just past New Caledonia, just missing New Caledonia, going south. At least that's the model for now. That's all, of course, subject to change. But it's moving relatively quick for a cyclone. Again, moving this way, then making a hard left-hand turn. Predicted to go right into the North Island of New Zealand as a storm. Category 2, Category 1, Category 3, that remains to be seen. A lot can change between here and down here in New Zealand. So, but right now, that's the path. I'll show you on another weather software program. But there's also a strong hurricane developing over here, not hurricane, cyclone. Cyclones in the southern hemisphere below the equator rotate in a clockwise manner. They're called cyclones. Hurricanes in the northern hemisphere above the equator rotate counterclockwise. And those are known as hurricanes. These are known as cyclones. So this storm is headed towards New Zealand in the coming days. Right now it's on top of Tonga as a Cat 3, possibly a Cat 4. Got some information here at strangesounds.org. And a gnarly picture of this very strong storm. And this is what I was saying. The eye wall is getting organized, so it will probably hit the island as a very strong Cat 3 or Cat 4 headed towards New Zealand. Let's take a look at that real quick. This is several days out, but let's go back to, let's go to Monday. And the storm is right up here. Watch the path. I'm going to step it a day ahead at a time. And then watch what starts to develop over here on the north side of Australia. Storm's actually strengthening some. This is Thursday the 15th. It's going past New Caledonia, past the southern tip of New Caledonia, staying organized as a organized system, weakening a little bit here, but not too much, and that's on the 17th on Saturday. And you can see it's starting to take a southerly turn. Sunday, this time next week, it's still there, weakening some. And then it makes a hard left-hand turn going right towards the North Island of New Zealand. Tuesday the 20th, impact. High winds, high waves, and more than likely flash flooding. And that would be Monday and Tuesday of next week. This is all, of course, subject to change, but right now, that's what the models are showing. This storm going over Tonga, just past New Caledonia, into the North Island of New Zealand. At that same time, there will be a strong cyclone of its own over here on the north side of Australia, preparing to make landfall with wind speeds of over 130 miles per hour. That is a Category 4 storm. It's small, but it's packing a mighty punch. Let me just double check that. Yes, that's a Category 4 storm. So, a lot going on in the South Pacific. 2 cyclones. There's actually more than 2. The other ones are not as strong as this one here. There's a small one there, and there was a small one going into the Philippines earlier this week, but not to do any type of significant damage. But a lot of action in the South Pacific. This looks almost identical to what occurred right after the full moon, supermoon eclipse of January 31st, 2018. So it's kind of like history is repeating itself because this is the same general area. A strong system impacted Australia, but that system moved from here down into the South Island of New Zealand, turned around and impacted the North Island. It's crazy. So this storm here is coming around, doing a loop, impacting the North Island. We'll see if it does a circle and it impacts the South Island. So we're keeping an eye on the South Pacific. A lot of action going on right now as I do this video. Even got a storm up here in the North Pacific. North America's pretty quiet at that time. The rains across the southeast and the northeast have subsided by then, and the rivers by then should also be back into pretty good shape. But right now the rivers are rising in the southeastern United States. So big heads up if you're in Georgia, Alabama, the Florida Panhandle, any area in through here where you see orange, red, and even purple going clear up into the Virginias, Carolinas. All of these rivers are filling up quickly, so be prepared to head to higher ground at any time. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you had a super day. Have a great day, and be safe out there.